Yes. I'm scared to jump in the pool alone. And it's not because I'm afraid of pools. It's because dipping in there feels way too much like diving into the ocean. Especially if there's no one else in the water. If it's a bit deep and it's dark out. I feel like a shark is gonna pop up right in front of me or something's gonna drag me under. Just like in those creepy thalassophobia videos. The fear we have of the sea is totally fair, given how huge it is. It's literally 70% of Earth's surface and one of the most dangerous places for a person. Just to give you an idea, a regular person would only last about 2 hours swimming in the middle of the ocean. And that's if things go well, no floaties or anything. Drifting in that freezing water, your body would lose heat. You'd get super confused, or you'd just drown because your muscles gave out. The thought of slowly getting weaker, sinking, and gulping down water instead of air would freak anyone out on this planet. And even if you're a pro, wearing a wetsuit and an oxygen tank, the conditions are still awful. When you dive in the ocean, you take on more pressure than the Earth's atmosphere for every 10 meters you go down. That's because of the water pressure hitting you not just from above, but from all sides of your body. And the whole crushing feeling, which is already intense, isn't the only problem here. Remember that limited air in your tank? If anything goes wrong, you can't just bolt back to the surface. You gotta come up slow with a few pauses, or you could get the bends, known as decompression sickness. Basically, your body can't handle the sudden pressure change, and you die. Or you get squeezed by an even bigger force in a submarine dive. But we'll get to that in a sec. When we talk about the ocean and its dangers, we gotta bring up the waves. Not those little ripples you see at the beach, but 30-meter high waves, like in that small town in Portugal, for example. Or for sure, storm waves way out at sea. Those things turn any ship into a tiny paper boat. Okay, modern ships aren't known to flip because of them, but still, I'd rather stay on land. And if 30-meter waves still don't creep you out, well, sea whirlpools definitely will. They form when two currents smash into each other, and you can call it a kind of ocean black hole. Anything that gets close gets sucked down. A person caught in one would be pulled under with no chance of getting back to the surface, much less survive. All right, all that stuff is pretty scary. But of course, we are not haunted by maritime events alone, right? Just like the land, the ocean is also home to animals, and some really weird ones. And I'll start with whales here. Yeah, whales. They don't mean us any harm. We all know they eat krill and tiny fish. Humans are definitely not on their menu, but that doesn't stop us from getting swallowed by one by accident. Or, more likely, having our boat almost tipped over when they breach. But the worst part for me is the noise they make. A sort of scream or communication that can travel 15,000 kilometers and haunt your ears during a sunset dive. I hope I never hear one of those in my life. Another sea animal that makes me nervous is the orca. And I know they aren't famous for attacking people, but the name killer whale is a little sketchy. They can be up to 8 meters long. They're super smart, and I don't know why a hungry family wouldn't just go ahead and eat a swimmer adrift. But if you trust an orca and a whale the size of a plane, you probably don't feel great about a shark, right? Unlike those two, there are tons of reports of shark attacks on people. That's no secret. Sure, there's the whole debate that we're not their food and that attacks are just test bites, but hey, attacks still happen. And even if it is just a little test bite, a 3-ton shark's bite is not exactly little bite. The ocean is also home to other tricky creatures, small ones, but with venom that can cause heart attacks. It's also where you find sea snakes, not super aggressive, but their bite can kill you in 24 hours. Then there's the blue-ringed octopus, smaller than your palm, but its sting kills you in 20 minutes. And to make it even worse, Touching this tiny, finger-sized jellyfish can kill you in just 2 minutes. Yeah, no joke. Let's remember those are the species we know about and the animals we see closer to the surface. Obviously, the deeper we dive, the weirder the creatures get and the more alien everything looks. Over 2,000 species of marine animals are found every year. Some of them live way down in the deep, in places where the water pressure is so intense that humans need to explore using a submarine or a camera. Because it's pitch black down there, these deep-sea creatures use bioluminescence, which is their ability to make light, just like a firefly. These animals have squishy, flexible bodies that are built to handle that massive water pressure. Some even fall into the category of abyssal gigantism, which means these species tend to be bigger than normal. The bigger the size, the more efficient the metabolism, and the less energy and heat they lose. In other words, in a place that's dark, cold, and has hardly any food, it makes total sense that we find animals a bit bigger than what we see up top. For example, this is a normal crab, and this is a deep-sea crab, almost 4 meters long. Isopods are tiny crustaceans you even find in your garden. The giant isopod. Well, the name says it all. This is a regular-sized squid, and this is a giant squid, 9 meters long, and who knows how strong that thing would be pulling you down. Besides the gigantism, the weirdness is definitely a common trait among these animals, and when I call them aliens, it's because they seriously look like it. The Greenland shark is kind of a zombie. It's 6 meters long, blind, and can live up to 500 years. Even though it lives in deep waters and is generally chill, there was a record of a human leg found in its stomach in 1859 in Canada. If it hadn't been caught, it would probably still be alive, swimming around somewhere in the ocean. The frilled shark was only found recently and has a jaw that can open up and swallow things bigger than itself, like a snake. And still talking about sharks and crazy jaws, the goblin shark has one that shoots out of its mouth. If that's not a creature from hell, I don't know what is. The more we explore, the weirder the creatures. These are just the species we know. Who's to say there aren't thousands that humans have never found? Who knows what kind of shark or monster might exist at the bottom of the sea? The depth is so insane it's hard to picture. But if you need some perspective, let me pause and help out a bit. 40 meters is the maximum depth a human is recommended to go. The Great Blue Hole in Belize is a scary pit, but it only goes down 124 meters. Sunlight starts to get dim in the twilight zone at 200 meters. A little further down, it's totally dark. The Titanic wrecks are at 3,800 meters. More people have been to the moon than reached the 6,000 meter mark. At 8,848 meters, Mount Everest would be underwater. Finally, at 10,994 meters is the Mariana Trench, not only the deepest spot in the ocean, but on the entire planet. No human could survive there. The freezing temperature, near 0 degrees, wouldn't be the worst of it. The extreme pressure would instantly crush your body. The only way to go down that deep is in submarines. Only 6 people have done it in the world, and it can be super risky, even with the best gear. And then you get implosion incidents, like the Titan submarine in 2023, which happened at only 3,500 meters deep. Imagine what's down there at the bottom of the ocean. Who knows how many shipwrecks are rusting on the ocean floor? How many bizarre things exist down there? Or how many unexplained sounds and anomalies are in the deep? Like I said at the start of the video, the ocean covers 70% of the Earth's surface. It's no wonder it would also be a place full of mysteries. And when you talk about mystery in the ocean, you have to bring up the Bermuda Triangle, an area between Bermuda, Puerto Rico, and Miami, known for unexplained disappearances. It all started in 1980, when an American ship left Rio de Janeiro for Baltimore, in the US Northeast. At some point, it got to the Bermuda area. The ship reported good weather, then disappeared off the map without a trace. Neither the wreckage nor the 306 men aboard were ever found. In 1945, something similar happened. 5 US planes were on a training exercise over the area when they reported being lost. A search plane was sent right after to find the men, but as you can guess, it also vanished. None of the 6 planes made it back home. Where did they go? After those incidents, the Bermuda Triangle got a reputation for being cursed, hit by some weird anomaly, or even a home for aliens. Well, those are just theories, and you can believe them if you want. The thing is, this area is known for huge storms, and human errors can always happen, which would explain the disappearances. Honestly, man, hundreds of ships and planes cross that area every day and none of them disappear. At least not most of them. There are more baffling things than that, like the Baltic Sea anomaly, a photo taken from the seabed said to be a USO, an unidentified submerged object. The Yonaguni structures in Japan follow the same idea. It's a kind of underwater city that many theorize was made by aliens or a lost civilization, like the city of Atlantis. Well, it doesn't look like the real Atlantis or something created by aliens, but who knows, man, you never know. Now, one thing you really never know is the bloop. This is a sound recorded in 1997 from the deep Pacific Ocean. Despite being super loud and having a strange frequency, scientists say it's the sound of icebergs cracking. And if that's the case, it would have to be a massive iceberg. Another theory says the sound comes from a living creature. And to make a noise that loud, it would have to be a living thing many times bigger than a blue whale. That's where the image of the bloop came from. A giant creature blamed for the sound. And dude, that thing is terrifying. Things get a little sketchier when you remember that the Pacific is the most mysterious ocean on the planet, and that the legendary Cthulhu, a cosmic creature created by the writer Lovecraft, even bigger than the bloop or any old sea monster, is said to live in the same spot. And speaking of sea monsters, there have been many on the planet. Not Cthulhu-sized, obviously, but big enough to swallow a human in one bite. Just look at the tooth of a megalodon, a giant shark that went extinct 3 million years ago. Or maybe not. Well, scientifically speaking, the chance of finding a creature that big is pretty unlikely. But unlikely is not impossible. Remember, we only know 5% of the ocean? The rest is totally and completely unknown. And look, I'm not here to say for sure that something exists or doesn't. We don't even need that to be scared. Just remember how hostile the sea is. The massive pressure when you dive, the giant waves, and the whirlpools. The animals that exist, the ones that kill when you least expect it, and the ones that are waiting to kill you. Finally, we remember the most primal fear, the one that makes you not go into the pool alone, that stops you from diving deep and closing your eyes in the water. The same fear of being lost in the ocean until you lose your strength and become just another one. Just another tiny grain of sand in a cemetery full of them.